Thank you. Okay. Down. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to do my best to project here because I'm not used to talking in a mic, but here we go. First and foremost, thank you for coming today. My name is Rachal Duggan. I also go by Rad Illustrates, and my initials are Rad. I am an illustrator, and I absolutely love to draw. And so today, going with our theme here of layers, we are going to be talking about cake. We are going to be discussing the many layers of cake here. And I happen to have a huge sweet tooth. I love cake. Problem is, I do have a lot of gut issues. So the only cake I can actually consume is gluten-free vegan cake. We'll get to more of those gritty details soon. But first, I really just want to start off by talking about the outer layer here. The sprinkles, the icing. Instead of the cherry on top, we're going to do the peach on top for butts, because I think it's only appropriate to start with this like fun outer shell, and then we will go deeper within the cake. So, I draw butts for a living. I pop up at events, I draw people's butts in real time, and I sell my work, and it's super random how it all came to be, but it's very fun, very exciting, and I do get to have a lot of fun while doing this. A common question that I get is, how do booty portraits work? So I should just show you, right, real quickly. This is just a quick video that I did a pop-up at Olson House a couple years ago, I believe, and I was drawing a butt in real time. It's as simple and quick as, you know, you may expect. People just turn around, I draw their butt. I get to put my rad stamp on there with my initials, and then I do the quick reveal. And it's really fun. It's really fun to, like, you know, have that special moment in real time. Over the years, I've drawn thousands and thousands of butts. I have lost count. I've drawn tiny baby butts that are super cute, all the way up to people in their 80s butts. A lot of butts. I've seen a lot of things, including people's sweet pets, which is one of my favorite things to draw, is being able to draw people's dog butts, cat butts. I've done rat butts, bunny butts, turtle butts, lizard butts, also bunny butts. So, yeah, if you ever want an exotic pet's butt drawn, like, let me know. I'm adding to the list of things. But because of yeah, take it all in. Because of my line of work, often at events, people talk at me, people say things to me, and people do make assumptions about me, which, you know, don't assume, you make an ass out of you and me. That's what they say. So I've been asked before if I've been arrested for drawing butts. Of course, no. Like, that's so bonkers. No. I've had a lot of men overly sexualize what I'm doing, and they start unbuttoning their pants. They ask how much to draw their front, taking off their belt, and it's just gross. Like, especially when you're sitting at eye level, it's like, please don't. Sometimes people see what I'm doing from afar, and they are so weirded out that they are terrified at what I'm offering, and they think I'm performing colonoscopies on the street. It's not that deep. It's just a drawing. It's quick. It's painless. It's fun. And then on the other side of the spectrum here, I do have a lot of people think they see my signage, they want to come up to me and talk about everything they hate about their body. And it can be really hard to absorb that. And, I'm out here trying to make people feel good and just like embrace what you have. I don't want you to tell me every detail of your, what you don't like. Because this is my mantra, right? Like, all butts are good butts, whatever. Like, I'm not looking for people to become perfect or reach a certain goal with their physical form in order to, like, deserve having a drawing of their butt. All butts are good butts. Thankfully, I do have a lot of people who just come up and they're so excited and happy and they get it, and I don't have to, I don't want to, convince people. I want people to opt into this process. So when this does happen, it feels so good and it's very heartwarming for me. The funny thing is, back in high school, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was a weird art kid, but I was like, please, somebody, give me some direction. What should I do? So I took one of those weird old school career tests. The results were shocking. I got suggested to be a clown or a gardener, which I was devastated and horrified. I didn't want to be a clown or a gardener. Present day 38-year-old me is actually like, this is so accurate. People hire me to go to their weddings and birthdays to entertain by drawing butts. And I have a garden, a veggie garden now as an adult. And if I'm thinking metaphorically, being a small business owner, you do sort of have to like plant the seeds, see what grows, tend to that over time. Everything's always changing and it's kind of a hellscape, but. Okay, so my booty portraits, the icing, the sprinkles, it's sort of like the gateway drug into my other offerings. And so I teach in-person drawing workshops, online drawing workshops. I draw all sorts of stuff, other things other than butts, houses, people, pets, memorial portraits, and also I do drawings for companies and publications. Phew, okay, we made it through that like surface level stuff, okay? And so now I am formally inviting each one of you to go a little deeper into the layers of the cake and just like, hear me out, get to know me a little bit more on a human level. Okay, are we ready for this? Okay, here we go. We're still going to be a little light now, we're not going straight into the depths of the cake first, so we're going to go top to bottom. We're on the top sponge here, okay? So just like get to know me a bit. I really like going for walks. I'm a simple gal. I love being outside. I love being alone. I love observing nature. We're in a great setting to be talking about that. And I get so many creative ideas when I walk. It's a wonderful tool, and it's free. I love rocks, and I collect rocks. I have an extensive fossil collection. There's something so peaceful and so wonderful about going to the lake and looking for treasure. This is something very therapeutic for me. And again, another free thing that you can do. So I really want to connect with people through my drawings. It's very important to me, and you have maybe seen my drawing style is very simple. I draw with ink or marker on paper, I am not interested in perfection at all. If I get an idea, I really just want to get it on the page, or I want to share it, I want to get it out in the world. So for me, I want to be casual and quick so that way people get what I'm talking about when I create art. Like the connection piece is tops. Also being able to draw in the wild in front of people and like hand off a drawing to people is such a cool connective thing that a lot of people who create art, draw alone in their room, or like they're able to kind of like be secluded. And so the outward connection is kind of like interesting for me. It's scary, but it's exciting too. I do want to find humor where I can, and so I like to draw like silly stuff too. When you get out of the shower and you bend over and you're like toweling off a little bit and your butt like gobbles up the shower curtain and you almost rip it off the wall and you're like, whoa, if this happens to me, it probably happens to other people too. Whew, okay, we're going deeper. We're going deeper, everyone, into body stuff, okay? Specifically, my body stuff. So, buckle up. Okay, I have irritable bowel syndrome diarrhea, and there's nothing cute about having diarrhea all the time, I'll tell you that. I was diagnosed at a really early age, in my early teens, and it's been like a long time just coping, managing symptoms. This is just like one of those things that you're gonna have forever. And for years, I was so humiliated and embarrassed and just like grossed out by myself. Ultimate irony, I draw butts for a living now. It's just like, what? But through the years, I have been able to kind of like laugh and joke and like make peace with this condition by talking about it openly. The goal with like drawing or talking about it, like it's just I want to feel more comfortable in my body, and hopefully other people, you might not have irritable bowel syndrome, but you probably have something else going on. My goal is that hopefully you too can feel more comfortable by just like airing it out a little bit, which is a great segue into periods. So I've always hated my period. In my 20s, as a moonlighting illustrator, I was like, I kind of want to roast my period on the internet and just like air my grievances about how much I dislike how painful and brutal my period can be, on top of having IBSD, And when I started posting things, I was shocked by the comments and responses, because really when you're an artist or someone, you're just throwing ideas at the wall. So when people responded well to me sharing period stuff, I decided I should accept other people's period stories and then create drawings, so that way it was like a conduit to like releasing all of these traumatizing things out into the wild. And I received hundreds of these stories, which was really cool. And this specifically is actually my first period illustration story. If you want to read it verbatim, you can go on Instagram. I use this hashtag, and then I also have like a little highlight on my page. But when I got my period at age 12, I bled for 2 weeks straight. I thought I was dying. My parents were on vacation. I was being watched by various family members, and I had no idea who to turn to. I had to go to school, act like everything was normal. I ran out of pads because I was bleeding so hard. It was so scary, and I lost so much blood that I actually fainted in the bathroom and woke up on the floor. I thought this was like the end of my life. And I think back to little me, and it was so scary and so hard. And now being able to just like put these things out there, I want younger people and other people to just feel more comfortable, because when I opened this up, I was just getting so many similar stories of like harrowing situations. And I was just like a little kid at the time. Intense stuff. There's like 1 or 2 positive period stories. Most of them are kind of up like this, like just pretty intense. Okay, we've moved to the skin portion of this. And this out of the body stuff is my least favorite thing to talk about because I'm facing you. Look, my face is on display, my eyeballs. So I have chronic skin issues. I have rosacea, and you might think, oh, rosacea is just like blushing. That's like not a big deal. No, I have a different kind. So when I have a flare-up, it attacks my eyelids and it throws my vision off. It makes me look like I have pink eye. I have, it's awful. It's painful. My cornea gets damaged, and this is just something that flares up, and I'm gonna have to deal with it forever. Also, a couple years ago, I had a zit from hell move into my face on the center of my face for 9 months, and this sucker was so deep. I did every single medical intervention to get rid of this zit, including steroid shots, drainings, medicine like tablets, topicals, and eventually the derm was like, we have to surgically remove your zit. I mean, what? And so, thankfully, I did have it surgically removed. It has not come back, knock on wood, but now I have an almost inch-long scar on my face as like a daily reminder of just like what a wild thing to have happened. I do want to say, shout out Dr. Rosenberg. I do have a good derm. Through this entire nightmare, I have found a really good dermatologist in Milwaukee, and I feel like I'm on the right protocols. Like things have been going really good. So if you need a personal rec, like hit me up. Okay, so this is like, all this being said, I'm ultimately like trying to self-soothe through drawing, through life, through these various body issues. I want to feel less gross and disgusting and uncomfortable, and by openly talking about it and like releasing it, I feel so much better. I feel so much more comfortable, and in turn, I really hope that viewers of this also get to feel a bit more comfortable and like they can talk about stuff. Okay, all right, so we've gone deeper in the cake now. This is like the real heavy stuff here. And this is sort of the ganache, the sticky, like thick, deep stuff, deep within this cake. Grief and trauma. Sometimes in your life, something happens and everything changes. And for me, in my early 20s, my dad had a massive stroke. At the time, I didn't even know what a stroke was, and I had no idea that it affected your brain. My dad survived this stroke, but in that moment, the original dad that I had died, and a different person remained. This stroke affected his ability to speak, to think, his physical mobility, just like a really, really intense situation. And it's really hard to grieve the loss of someone who isn't completely gone. And I don't want to downplay people who have grief, like regular grief, who lose someone, because grief is not linear. Grief is messy, and it's super painful. But not having that closure has been incredibly challenging for me over the last 14 and a half years. My dad was the person who taught me drawing. He was like always encouraging me to draw every day, draw whatever you want. We made our own fun through drawing. Such a humble activity, and it super impacted me. Because of him, I'm an illustrator today. Also, going for walks, picking out rocks, like being in nature, those are all like parts of my dad's personality that I feel inside me. So there's a lot of connection there that sort of ended unexpectedly. Like I said, my grief is very complicated. I have a type of grief called ambiguous grief, and this grief is an open wound. Usually there's some sort of resolution. In my case, so far there hasn't been. And so through lots of therapy, lots of walking, lots of drawing, talking about it, these have been my coping mechanisms for accepting. But sometimes I feel really, really sad. Sometimes I feel super mad. And then other times I'm so numb. There's just nothing to be felt. And it's just hard. There's no way around it. Finding acceptance has been my biggest task over the many, many years that have gone by and the challenges that present themselves constantly. But I know that I do need to check in with myself. I need to go to the lake. I need to look for rocks. I need to go for walks. I need to draw things. I need therapy. I need all the things. What is your tool? When you're struggling, you find what works for you, and I just want to encourage you to have that personal connection with creativity, because I need this. It feels really kind of icky going from the loss of a parent figure to losing my job in the pandemic, but when I lost my job in 2020, I felt terrible. I had been moonlighting as an illustrator for years, but I worked full time, and I had a good job with the salary, benefits, all that jazz. I lost my job, and I felt super betrayed and rejected and scared. I didn't know what to do. It made me question everything. That being said, having gone through some of these difficult situations, you just have to keep going, even if part of you feels like it died in the process. So when I lost my original dad, I have looked to family members, friends, people who have been in similar situations for that support. And when I lost my job, I ended up going full-time as an illustrator, which I really don't think I ever would have taken that chance. I'm not a risk taker, that's for sure. And I thought, well, it's 2020, it's the pandemic, if there's ever a time, I should do that now. And present day, 4.5 years later, I'm still a full-time illustrator. Yeah. That brings me to present day. Man, I need this talk for myself right now, because this photograph with my family, my mom, dad, and my brother, was taken just on Christmas Day this year in their kitchen, and then 2.5 weeks later, their house burnt down. And I'm about a little over a month into dealing with this recent chaos. Finding a house that is suitable for my dad to temporarily live in with my mom. She's his caregiver, all the insurance, all the inspectors, the horrors of going in this house, looking through things. It's just been a lot. I have not felt okay. I have not felt like myself. And I need to remind myself to take care of me and find peace where I can. And I know that I'm in it right now, and it's going to be a long, painful year of uncertainty, but I'm hoping I will make it out the other end, just as I have previously. Okay, so we are now we're now at the very important foundational layer of my cake, the sponge at the bottom that keeps things okay and stable, and that is my coping with life through making art. I need this so much. Making comics, that is how I feel better about what's going on. And this has just been a really strong tool for me over the last few years telling true stories. Shout out to shameless plug, really. I'm teaching a comics workshop next month in Milwaukee, so if you're interested in making comics, there's flyers over there at this little like booth station. But I love comics, and in college, my comics professor told me it's easier to draw from real life than it is to make up a good story, and that was so accurate for me because I'm not a writer first, I'm a drawer. So that's when I turned from trying to come up with something really clever to focusing on real life instances for inspiration. And a lot of writers want to take credit for this. Write like everyone you know is dead. That really rings true for me because for years I didn't want to talk about my family stuff out of fear of hurting people in my family or airing my dirty laundry. And then I realized it's really helpful for me. I need to do this, and that's okay. Which brings me to my spin on the quote. Draw like everyone you know is dead, because if it will make you feel better, you absolutely should do it. Okay, this brings me to my cake recipe. It's all about finding balance here. So, one, I have to draw for fun. I gotta have fun with this. Two, I really do need to still draw the hard stuff, the painful stuff, that sticky ganache. Three, I want to find humor where I can, like drawing Bigfoot and aliens too. And four, I have to draw for money. For the love of God, this is my job. Please, somebody pay me money to draw things. And so this brings me to my final slide. Maybe, just maybe, I can have my cake and eat it too. As long as it's gluten-free and vegan, I gotta be careful with this gut situation. But if all of this has taught me anything, it is that I have no idea what the future holds. Everything is temporary. I want to live in the present right now, and I don't have a 5-year plan. For me, I want to be proud of what I've accomplished so far in my career, in my life. And I really think that that is enough. So if I'm not able to still be an illustrator in the future, if things change, life changes, I'm working on just being proud of myself. Okay, thank you. Thank you guys, yeah. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Want to do a little Q&A?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah. Q&A. I forgot.
I forgot my handkerchief. We are going to do a little Q&A with Rachel. We have a few minutes, so. Any questions for our dear Rachel? That was amazing. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So when you're drawing butts, what is the best clothing option that people should wear?
Yeah.
So they actually see them?
Yes, that's a great question. For me, I do like jeans because there's the most line work to draw. When you have pockets or Levi's has specific stitching, there's just more to draw in that instance. If you happen to have butt tattoos and stuff, and some people do want to do underwear stuff, that can be fun too because it's more specific to your permanent body art. But honestly, most jeans, patterns, things, I try to capture as much as possible so that way it looks like you and feels like what you were wearing. Yes.
So you have a book about butts, right?
Yes.
Are you working, so it's, all butts are good butts?
Yes.
And Founded Lions too? Are you planning on doing publications in the future? Because you do zines and you did that book. Are you
Yes.
planning another one with a publisher again?
Yeah, I don't know. The publishing landscape is really fascinating. I will say that. I recently made a zine about grief. I put that together on Thanksgiving Day when I opted out of Thanksgiving this year. I was like, I'm gonna make a grief zine. Yes, it's over there. But yeah, I really I love like getting my ideas onto the page because I, for so many years, was so focused on web only. And so I do hope to continue making stuff on paper in like that form. Yeah. Yep.
Find balance in your life and your work when you're working for yourself, managing your own health symptoms, and have grief with family? That's a very personal question, sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, that's a really good question. I feel like it's so ongoing. Like sometimes like whatever levers I can pull, like, okay, therapy needs to go up. Or I previously did a lot of events back to back, like Friday, Saturday, 2 on Saturday. I don't do that anymore because I had a big nervous breakdown and was like having out of body experiences. So I've been like, okay, I'm gonna pad my events. Like I have to like adjust based on what I'm noticing or if a flare up is coming up or, because realistically, like if I'm sick, I can't work, or if I don't feel right, like I shouldn't be forcing it, even though it is how I'm able to pay my bills and like survive. So I try to have like a mix of things and then put myself first. Like my health does have to come first. My like mental health is super duper important because I'm not going to be like a fun guest at a wedding if I'm crying, like, right? Like, I don't know. So I got to be able to like keep it together and take care of myself. But it's challenging. Like, yeah, sometimes they're hard. Sometimes it's like I feel great and good and it's no big deal. So. Oh, yes.
The writing or drawing, like your friends and family are dead, is pretty liberating. What was it like for you getting over that hill and leaving that on the other side?
Yes. It was really hard at first because, yeah, again, I tend to be a people pleaser, and then thinking about my family in a very sensitive way, like not wanting to, I hate the word implicate them, but like kind of drag them into my art or on my like social or something. But once I tried it, like I dipped my toe in by making like a comic just like about the stroke, like just like dabbling in it. And then once I realized like everybody's fine, like I'm not trying to drag anyone or make people feel uncomfortable. People can opt in or out of like viewing what I have to say, or if they feel differently from me, they probably do because we're different people. Everybody handles like family trauma and things differently, and grief is like really personal. So I think just like going for it, like trying, just like any other idea, like the butt portraits, like trying it and then like seeing how people respond and like seeing how I feel when I do it. And thankfully, I've been able to go from like 0 to 100 and talking about it in a way that is, yeah, liberating, like you say. Yeah.
Do you have, I know you don't have a 5-year plan, but do you have like a dream client or project that you'd like to work on with?
Ooh. That's a big question. That's a big one. I mean, I like drawing fun stuff, so when I'm able to create like drawings for fun merch for companies, that's always great. Like Flower Girl and Flame, shout out in the house. I got to do the deli paper, and like that was like a super cool, like perfect project. Like sometimes these like little perfect projects come up. I used to get really hung up on having a plan. What does this year look like? What about next year? Like, we're living in utter chaos, painful, brutal times. Like, I'm like, every day, just keep it together, So hopefully, like in the past, like things come, like jobs come, work comes. If there's like a peaks and valleys, that's all it is, you know? So it's like you ride that wave, and hopefully clients will come and I can pitch myself to things too. But yeah, at this rate, like anything is a good client, kinda, right? Like keeping me drawing, so yeah. Okay, yeah.
For you to avoid perfectionism, or have you ever struggled with hesitation as far as like creating anything?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I've always been this way. I've always been kind of like not someone who wants to spend a ton of time on something, which can be not people's cup of tea, obviously, because you can see some art and things that are just so beautiful and perfect, and I'm just like scribbling up, like moving on, you know. But for me, it's just like so true to my style, and for years I did resist it when I was younger and like comparing myself a lot with other kids, like in art school, and being like, wow, this is so official, and mine's just totally like scribbly, whatever. But it was until I like finally just said, this is my style, it's coming naturally, like I should probably just listen to it. I'm like, oh, it's like a non-issue, I don't even think about it, and the older I get, the less I care about perfection, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you bet, thank you.